Guys, I genuinely really love making these videos because they just allow me to talk about movies in such a way that I can express myself and just really talk about how I feel about them. I just love making these videos, and it's such a joy to me to get to respond to your guys' comments and have discussions with you guys in the comments because that's just the best part. But man, do I wish I got that $30 back. I just. I. Let's talk about this movie. So, this film, as is the trend with a lot of Disney live-action remakes, is a remake of the original animated film Mulan, a beloved classic that a lot of people really seem to enjoy. And for those of you who aren't aware, well, these live-action remakes aren't exactly getting a ton of love. Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, The Lion King, Aladdin, they're not exactly the most beloved films. However, I just want to point this out before I start this review because I think it's really important for me to say this. I actually am coming from a very unique perspective. That being, I actually have very little attachment to the original animated films. I may have seen them once or twice when I was really young, but other than that, not really. I grew up more on Pixar animated films. So actually, while a lot of people don't really seem to like these live-action remakes, I actually haven't disliked a single one. Which is an unpopular statement, I know, and I'm fully aware of that, but I'm going to stand by that opinion because I genuinely have a decent time at least with a lot of these films, especially The Jungle Book and Aladdin. I really, really, really enjoyed those two films. Now, Mulan's a little bit different because it is not a shot-for-shot remake like The Lion King or like Aladdin might have been. This is a completely different film, and you could tell by the trailers that this film was not going to be taking a lot of elements, maybe the basic skeleton and outline, but it wasn't going to be taking a lot of minor details and subplots from the original animated film. And admittedly, at first, I was kind of skeptical about that, because, quite frankly, I didn't think the first trailer looked very good. But I saw the second trailer, and I thought, well, the second trailer looks pretty decent, actually. It looks like a really good action war kind of film, centering around a female protagonist who is trying to find her place in the world. I thought, yeah, looks like it's going to be pretty decent. So I went into Mulan, yes, paying $30 for it, but trying my absolute best to leave my expectations at the door, not watching any reviews, not looking at any of the critics' scores, and just wanting to see the movie for itself. So, let's answer the big question. Is Mulan worth $30? No, it's not. And again, I find myself in a different position this time because normally I go against the critics because the critics seem to dislike the remakes. For example, they really didn't seem to like Aladdin that much, but I loved Aladdin. But this time around, it was the complete opposite. I looked after I saw the movie on the Rotten Tomatoes score and I saw an 80%. An 80%. And my mind was just about ready to explode. So before we go on any further, I'm not trying to invalidate any of you. If you guys spent the $30 and you loved Mulan, that's great. I totally respect that. Oh my goodness, what did I just watch? So this version of Mulan is trying to be a little bit more culturally accurate and realistic and historical to the time period. And there are certain elements from the original animated film that I gathered that they removed. For example, the most notable one is Mushu. And yes, I understand that you cannot really do Mushu as he was portrayed in the original animated film. You can't really do that in 2020. I understand that completely. However, I am going to say up front that while that very same character of Mushu, voiced by Eddie Murphy, is not necessarily what this movie needed, this movie did need a quote-unquote Mushu-type character. And what I mean by that is it needed levity. It needed something to bring this film down to earth a little bit, because this film takes itself absurdly seriously, and granted, sometimes it works because there are really good dramatic moments sprinkled here or there, but for the most part, there are just scenes where the film takes itself so seriously when you could just use that little bit of levity, like that little bit of comedy, or just something to grasp onto as an audience member, you know? Again, I'm not saying it's the same Mushu that we got in the original animated film. I know we can't do that anymore in 2020. What I am saying is that we just needed to ground this film somehow. And I will say, though, that while this film has a lot of problems, in my opinion, one of the things that it does pretty well is the culture. You really get to see some great costume design, some great set design, and it really does look like the visual artist spent a lot of time trying to make this film as realistic and historically accurate as possible. And I really respect that. I really do respect that Disney wanted to take this film somewhere different than the original animated film, and they just wanted to make it more realistic, I guess, to China's history, and I really, really, really like that. Because again, some of the set designs are really phenomenal. You know, the costumes, they pop. They're great. I think that's one of the best parts of this movie, is that it really does feel like you're somewhere else in the world. However, I have to juxtapose that by saying this. This film has 4 writers and 1 director. None of them are Chinese. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that when you make a film about World War II England, for example, that you need a British director. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that Mulan 2020 has a very distinct style and tone that it's going for. It really wants to harken back to its realistic roots in China. And I admire that deeply about this film. They got a ton of really, really, really talented Chinese actors to be in this film, such as Jet Li, Gong Li, Donnie Yen. So if that's what you're going for, then why didn't you get writers who understood that culture? Because it shows. It really shows. Guys, if these writers and director went to China and studied them for years and years and years and studied the culture and studied the history, it still wouldn't be the same as getting an actual Chinese person. If Black Panther had hired a white director, what does that say about the film? Like, there's only so much that a person who doesn't understand the culture inherently can do about this. And like I said, it shows. First of all, the dialogue is terrible. I think the script for this film is pretty atrocious. The dialogue is basically as cliche as possible. You can basically predict every single line that is coming next. There was actually a point in the film, don't worry, there's no spoilers in this video, but there was a point in this film where I looked at somebody and I went, that's Star Wars. They just stole that line from Star Wars. They stole this entire dialogue exchange from Star Wars. What is happening? And then there are just really bizarre character moments that come out of absolutely nowhere. There's not a lot of character development for any of the people in this film. Obviously, because the film is called Mulan, you want to focus on the main character Mulan a lot, and they do. They spend a lot of time with the character of Mulan. That's great, because the film is Mulan, so you want to get to know her character a lot more. And you guys know the story by now, right? She is a female at a time where females were not allowed to join the military, but she decides to join the army disguised as a man and try to fight her way and become her own person, right? That's the story of Mulan. Great. We all know that, and it's a really, really good tale about empowerment and just confidence and being empowered to do what is right. That's great. I love that. Good. Yet there was just something missing. Like, you have the basic framework from the animated film. Everything is there. Yet what it felt like to me was that they really didn't care about the character of Mulan. They cared only about the message of the film, which can be okay. It can be okay. But to me, if you're trying to make a statement, if you're trying to make a message, or if you're trying to teach the audience something, which I am all for, because that is what movies and art are about, the characters are vessels. The characters are the way that the message is transported and conveyed to the audience. What this felt like to me was that Mulan was just a puppet. Not a vessel, a puppet. And honestly, not a lot of the performances really helped the film either. The main actress who plays Mulan, she is fine. I think she plays the role fine. There's really not a lot that she does to really make you care about her that much as a character, but she fills the role and she does a good job. So there's that. And there are some really, really, really good standout characters here. First of all, Donnie Yen does a great job as the commander. Jet Li does a pretty good job as the emperor, but my favorite character out of everyone in this film was Mulan's father. And that's the problem. He was barely in the movie. See, when I talk about good films, I feel like one of the most important things that a good film needs to have is an emotional core. Something that centers the film and gives something to the audience to root for, right? To give a kind of silly example, the film Ant-Man. The film is ridiculous. It's about a guy shrinking with a suit into the quantum realm. What is the quantum realm? Who knows? But the emotional core of that film is Scott and his daughter, Cassie. That is why you care about the characters, because there is a centerpiece, a beating heart to the film. And so when I started watching this movie, I thought immediately, oh, the relationship between Mulan and her father is the beating heart of this movie. And guess what? They just don't explore it at all. They decide to go this whole different route and make this whole other subplot like the main thing, and this other really, really bizarre random character that makes some really, really bizarre character choices, and just, because at the end of the day, I was looking for a reason to care about Mulan. And yeah, I want to see Mulan succeed, of course, because she's being put down by others, and, you know, she's got to prove herself, right? She's got to be the person that they don't see her to be. I really like that. But I don't care about her in any other respect, because the relationships with the other characters that she forms throughout the film are meaningless. They really, really do try to develop some other relationships, and they just do not work. I do not care about any of the side characters that she interacts with. Aside from that, there are just odd character decisions made. Like, there is one bizarre twist that happens towards the end of the film, and I did not know what to say. I was literally speechless. The CGI and special effects and visual effects are bizarrely hit and miss. Like in some shots, it's pretty beautiful. You can see some really beautiful landscapes in China, and other shots you can tell it's a soundstage, it's a green screen. It's horrible. Like there's one shot where Mulan's being thrown back, and you can just tell where the wire was and where she was being pulled back to, and there was a padded wall and everything. You can just see it. And finally, this movie is too long. It's just too long. Even though, yeah, 2 hours, relatively speaking in movie terms, is not that long, I couldn't help but think every 5 or 10 minutes that this could be cut, or this could be cut, or this entire action sequence could be cut. And at the end of the movie, I literally found that I could have cut maybe 15, 30, 40 minutes of the movie. So look, at the end of the day, I didn't like Mulan. That's just me. I thought it was a pretty poorly made movie. And again, like I've said before, it's not like I'm just here to hate on Mulan. I was rooting for this film so hard. I thought this film looked awesome. And honestly, I thought it was a really cool thing that Disney was trying to go for something completely different, right? And I was a little jarred when I saw the first trailer because I was like, oh, this looks nothing like the original Mulan. But I really started to warm up to that idea once I saw more and more of the trailers. Unfortunately, this film, aside from everything it's trying to be, aside from this ambitious historical piece that's talking about empowerment and just being who you were meant to be, regardless of what society tells you, which is a really, really powerful message, this film just doesn't work. It doesn't work. There are just so many things that they do wrong. The dialogue is terrible. The action and some of the CGI is good, but some of it is just atrocious. The directing and editing is kind of choppy. The acting is weird, the character choices are bizarre, the pacing is bizarre, the movie's just too long, and at the end of the day, this movie did not work for me. And I was really surprised by that. I really, again, wanted to like this movie, like I've liked so many of the other live-action remakes, but this one just didn't work for me. So in the end, guys, just wait until December. Again, I love making these videos, but I just want $30 back. Man. I'm gonna give Mulan a D+ and a 4 out of 10. So, have you guys seen Mulan? And if so, let me know in the comments down below. I guess here's hoping that maybe they release an actual good movie like Black Widow that might be worth paying, because honestly, if they just keep releasing these bad movies that I have to pay for, I don't know how many more I'm gonna pay for, honestly. Like, it's just not worth it to me. But anyways, yeah, I would have seen Mulan in theaters probably anyways, so there you go. If you haven't subscribed already, then please make sure to do so and like this video to support the channel. If you could spread the word about this video, that would mean the world to me, as we're trying to grow the channel every single day. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means the world to me. If you want to check out some more videos, then check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.